Hi everyone, this is Zelenka and welcome to my podcast where we explore the wisdom of those around us. So welcome to another episode. Today here from Budapest. I'm honored to have here my friend and previous client János Muth, who was for many years managing director of Euroscript and then Amplexor company, one of the largest language service provider in the world. And I would like to share some of his thoughts, tips, tricks, how to lead people, motivate them, and much more. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for inviting. It's a great honor.
Okay, now I would like to remember a story how we met and how we started cooperating together. And that time, I don't know, that was 10, 11 years ago.
Yes.
You made an impression on me because you were, I think, the first client who came personally, the managing director and your colleague Peter came to our office in Zlín in the Czech Republic to visit us, to agree on all conditions.
That's very kind. The reason why we did that is to visit these companies personally, is that even with vendors, I think it's very important to know that person in person. Mm-hmm. So to meet the person, see the condition, see the person, and if you like the person, you will do the business. Mm-hmm. If you don't, it will be difficult. So this is why we went there. I also had a very good impression about your company. You mentioned that we like to keep our words. Now, I have two reasons why to do it. I think every relationship, business relationship, is based on trust. Mm-hmm. And this trust is only valid until you don't experience something else. Mm-hmm. And if you do once, that relationship will go in a bad direction. Mm-hmm. So I think every relationship is good at the start, but you can ruin it. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important. If I have a relationship and the other person would try to cheat me or try to do something which we have not agreed or something strange, I probably would stop that relation after a while, or I would continue it only if I have to. Mm-hmm. So this is one thing. Secondly, I think that if there's a good relation, you can always tell the other partners if you have any problem or if you have any request. They will always help you if they can. Of course, there can be situations when you can't help, but normally, if it's a good relation, then they would help you. You don't need to, go into very big details to get that. And I think that really is based on this trust, because you will always feel that the other one asks you because they want this, and not because they have second thoughts about getting around the agreement and having something else. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Just to give you, and we never spoke about it, but based on your trust, I was fully aware of what trust you are giving me. We even tried harder to do our best. So what you give is what you get.
Yes, exactly.
Do you remember your some of your hardest fails or failures in your career that you learned from?
We didn't measure team leaders, mm-hmm. And I think we should have done that. Because there must be a way to measure their work, mm-hmm. and we didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And in my company we have many team leaders, and this is what I'm struggling with. So what would you recommend to me?
You need to know the structure of how they're working. Mm-hmm. Because I think every company, although they are all working with project managers, but the project managers, their actual work may vary. The deadline is something which is very, very important. If for any reason deadline is not met, then that needs to affect their bonus.
You mean deadline of specific project?
Or the project, yes. And I think I would be strict, because the argument would be, yes, but the translator didn't do it. Now I think a project manager has to be, first of all, they have to pick the right person who they are sure can do. Of course, something like illness or things like that can happen, but under normal circumstances, if the project manager knows the person, the vendor well, he or she has to be able to be in charge of the deadline. So I think that is something which needs to be. Secondly, I think the quality of the translator's work needs to be.
So quality of work, be more general.
Yes, yes. You know, to get to understand the feedback, what a revision person says, and if the translation was bad, I think it should affect the project manager also, because probably she or she didn't pick the right person for that job under normal circumstances. I mean, not something very special.
What else? What people who are leading project managers? I mean, team leaders.
There should be goals set based on what is important for the company. So if there is a project or a partner which is extremely important, that needs to have more effect on their bonus. So if it is an more important job, then that has to have a special indication. But we are very much talking only on the money side of bonus. You get X amount. Of course, money is very important because that's what they get in the store or something. But I think there are other things which are important. First of all, I think it is very important for people like a team leader to be able to work independently. Because I always found out that people appreciate when they have more freedom than possible. Of course, you need to check at certain points, or you have to make sure, or you have to be able to trust that person. So I'm not saying let that person go and then 6 months later she comes back to you. But I think it's very important to give her the authority to respond to a problem, because it's always easier for you to tell what you should do than to ask the person to try to solve it. And you always it's more risky also, because it may and of course I wouldn't suggest that you do it with an important client, because of course there can be problem with that. But I certainly think that responsibility is something people appreciate. So another thing what I've always found worthwhile trying to adapt is to give a person a perspective that, you know, you are doing this job, and if everything goes well, these can be your next step. Because, you know, after a while, most of the jobs is becoming a very routine job. And you don't like, you know, something which you automatically do it because you know the answers, and you know. Let me give you an example. When I was a student, I did interpreting to earn money. And that, I don't know if you've been in a tourist group, but that is something it's really very boring, because people come up to you and they think that they have wonderful questions, and it's all the same. After a while, and sometimes I did it as a joke, that the person came up and I answered the question before getting the question, and they were amazed, and they thought I could look into their head. And no, I couldn't. I just knew the question. And in your job also, after a while, it can be very routine. So if you can give, and probably not to all of your team members, but those you want to keep and would like to work for a long time, I think it is good to show them what can, and not say definitely by next March you will do that. That is stupid. But to see that, this is how we are going, and if we are successful with this customer, we can grow with that, and then you will be able to do that, and things like that. Because I think that is people are like to see what the future is. Because I think many times, of course, money is an issue, but many times they leave the company because they really are bored or fed up with what they are doing, because that is what they have been doing all the time.
Yeah, and I have to realize that maybe more often times, because for me it's always obvious, okay, you do this, you do that, and then you will be here. But maybe having, we have of course a description of the roles of the company and some organizational chart, but maybe giving them a plan, okay, in 1 year, if you, in this criteria, if you fulfill this and that, and if you will have these skills, or if you will learn that part, and you will be trained for this, you can be on this position. Maybe there are some people watching who are leading some global company, and they have branches in different countries. What would you recommend them to listen more, to visit those branches more? I mean, from the other side, how they can improve their communication to make a better decision?
It is a difficult question, because on the one side you always say that, or I think it is true, that the experience what a German salesperson may have in the language service business is something which is important even for Hungary, or the US experience can be important for the Eastern European countries, but there is always a limit to that. You cannot fully adapt a German sales method, if you say that, to Hungary, because there are always local differences. I had the experience that it is vitally important when there comes a big project, and to invite somebody from other entities who has a global vision of that segment, and can show that to the customer. But still, I think the local vision is important. I believe it's the same in the Czech Republic, that if you talk to someone, from the person's reaction, you understand the person, because you have the same culture. Somebody from Germany or from the States may not understand that, because it's different. It's simply, it's easier to talk to your native person, because you understand when he says something, this is more or less what he wants to say. In other countries it's different. I'm not saying it is better or worse, it's simply the cultural difference, I think, in every country. Even in countries like Eastern Europe, it's still different. I'm sure even with the Czech Republic and Slovakia, although you had a common history for a long time, the 30 years separation has impact on that. And I think that is something where functionality is important, that somebody on that functional role from on the top comes and helps to other entities, but it is only a help which can be given. It's still the local people who can or cannot solve the issue. When a project or a company belongs to your decision, you have a lot of headache, because you think you have to solve everything. And if you are a part of a team, and maybe you are the team leader, but still you have a team, you don't have that headache, because you know that you have 3 other people who you think are good on that, so you all will solve it. So it makes you more comfortable, I think.
I can't agree more. And maybe you can expand on that and explain also a little bit about the motivation of that team. If they make their own decision, then I think they are much more involved in everything.
Yeah, I think in a teamwork, when really a team is successful, when your team leader is not the person who sits there and makes the final decisions. I think that's not good. The way a team works is that the solution comes up through communication. And it is obvious for everyone that that is the solution. And you as the leader just say, okay, then we'll do that. But it's not the decision you are making. It's a team who made that decision, or let's say the vast majority of the team made the decision. Now, of course, don't misunderstand me. Of course, you're still the leader and you do make decisions, and you run that company, and you do bad or good decisions yourself. But I think to really, as a team, to take the projects, you need a team, and their decisions will come up as a solution.
As I understood, for big changes and big projects, you need to be patient. This is what I have to learn as well.
Yeah, very patient. and I know it's very difficult, especially when you know the customer and you know how important for the company is, so you would like to push the team as much as possible, but you have to understand that there is a learning phase, and you have to learn, and it is sometimes difficult because you have to be a good communicator in different ideas, different people, but I think you need time. The bigger the project is, or the more important the project is, the more time, I think.
Yeah. So you say measure the importance of the project, and according to that, be more patient.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you very much for sharing everything.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Definitely, you can be proud of what you have done, what people you trained, what relationships you made. And I'm very honored to be one of those people who know you a little bit better, and definitely you made an impact to the world.
Roman, thank you very, very much. I must tell you, it was really a wonderful time working with your company. Thank you. I think you were one of the companies where we really felt that we are good partners and friends. And I wish you success for your business and personal and business life. I'm sure everything will be successful.
Thank you. Thank you, János.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this interview. This podcast is about sharing the inspirational sides of people we know in the hopes that it motivates you to explore yours. If you like it, feel free to share it and let us know. And if you don't, we would love to hear why.